Hey guys, what is up? Happy Sunday to everyone here. I hope all of your guys' fantasy football teams are doing well currently here today. But we're going to go ahead and try to prep here for the upcoming week. Straight off the gate, we're going to go ahead and just talk about NVIDIA. NVIDIA does have earnings. I know it's going to be coming out on Wednesday after the close. So this is going to be a very, very important earnings. I know that, we've been saying every time there's a NVIDIA earnings, NVIDIA is honestly, everyone's always stating how important the earnings is. And it is going to be very important here today or on Wednesday. This upcoming week is going to be very, very interesting to see how it reacts. Obviously, we do know that, Michael Burry does have a short position here on NVIDIA, and I think he has another short position on PLTR. We'll see what the earnings, has to say. All I do have to know is that this looks like it's double topped. We are currently rejecting off of the daily 20 SMA. We reclaimed the daily 50 SMA, and we got really, really close to the 100 daily SMA. So, in my opinion, I have no bias moving forward here on this week. I want to be on my P's and Q's throughout this whole week, or at least Monday and Tuesday. I don't want to shoot all my bullets in the beginning of the week with something as big as NVIDIA earnings lurking on a Wednesday. So please, guys, for anyone who trades options or even equities and you trade kind of large cap names, please take your time on Monday and Tuesday to get a grasp on what's going on in the market. And then until Wednesday, obviously we already know it's going to be fireworks. It should be very, very interesting. Now, does NVIDIA end up beating earnings and surging up? Does it end up, getting absolutely pummeled? Who knows? No one knows. No one can actually congruently just tell you that, hey, this is what's gonna happen. But we can go ahead and prepare. And what I'm actually preparing for here is actually on MU. So it's going to be in the semiconductor sector. And I just want to point out how overextended MU kind of is from essentially its previous all-time highs. Like, look at this on this weekly chart. This is just such a very, very unhealthy up move. Now, I'm not going to be sitting here being the first one to short this name, guys. It's just, that's not how I work. I'm not going to be the first one. I want to really just let MU establish itself. If MU is going to become a short opportunity, I want it to be honestly staying heavy below previous day lows. And just to reiterate or come back to it, on Monday, honestly, to prep us through the week, no one knows exactly what's going to happen here on the ES, right? Like, come Monday morning, are we going to be gapping up? Are we going to be gapping down? Like, where are we going to be at? No one knows, guys. Like, so we just have to be very, very cautious to begin the beginning of the week. I just want to make sure that everyone realizes, or at least a lot of you guys realize, that you just have to be patient in this market. Like, volatility seems to have come in and increased a little bit. So there is no reason to, as soon as Monday opens, 9:30 opens, you're taking calls, puts, you're shorting or you're longing. Unless there's a really, really clean trade, just sit on hands and kind of let things work themselves out 9:45, 10 a.m., to join the trend. There is no need to be the first one in the action and blow up before something like Wednesday or have a bad day before Wednesday. There's just no need. But my eyes are definitely going to be on MU to see if MU does kind of get weak. We do have kind of a little bit of a double top here on the daily. So, and we've been showing a lot of relative strength. I mean, comparative to, to NVIDIA, right? This name's been stronger than NVIDIA. This name's probably been stronger than AMD. It's ASML. I mean, look at all of these names across the board in the semiconductor sector. They all kind of look identical, but MU definitely feels like it's doing much better than most. AVGO, it looks better than most. All of these kind of, you'll see that they look a little bit identical. This is going to be where my eyes are throughout this week. My eyes are going to definitely be on the semiconductor sector because I just want to see what's going to happen post Wednesday. Now, what I would hope for an A+ setup is two things for MU, right? One, I would hope that, let's say NVIDIA has good news and it surges semiconductors up. I want to see if we're going to actually get a gap up on MU post Wednesday and then see if we actually retrace that gap up and kind of capitulate and go back down, right? Maybe we get a gap and then just, a flush and people are selling off. You know, that's something that can possibly happen. Obviously, that's in the future. We don't know what's going to happen. And I want to make sure that you guys do understand, just because I do have a short bias on MU, or just because I am looking for, because guys, I'm not longing up here. Let's just be realistic here. Like, I'm not picking up longs in this area. You know, and that's not to say that MU's a bad, company. I wanna make sure we understand a day trade opportunity versus actually like long-term investing or like a swing trade opportunity or anything like that. There's a very big difference, guys. Just because I want MU to come down a bit does not mean that I think this company's worthless. It's a sack of whatever, you know. I just think that the RR in terms of Micron currently is more, it's better to go short than it is kind of to long at this current, you know, and I can absolutely be wrong, but I'm not going to front side this, guys. So that's my plan there. Basically, it's really, guys, it's be patient. Monday, Tuesday, be patient. 9:45, 10 a.m. trend joins is what you guys should be looking for. Like, let's look at Apple here. Apple's kind of has this, like, it looks like it's trying to set up for like a flat top breakout, you know. So we'll see if this can get over 277.30s, or we'll see if this actually starts staying heavy under this like 271.80ish area. We got to focus on that. There's no rush to get into these trades, guys. You know, let the market come to you, into your wheelhouse. Let's look at Microsoft's daily really quick and see how this is looking. It looks like it's actually tapping into the 100 daily SMA, and it's actually rejected there a couple times here now. So does this end up, you know, gapping up and building over? You have a descending 20 right now. Looks like you have a kind of a flatlining 100. You have a, you know, a daily 10 that it's actually reclaimed. So we'll see how Microsoft ends up acting. We have HIMS. Take a look at HIMS. HIMS actually has lost a very, very key level. Look at this line across. You have this low, this low, this low. Now under the 200 daily SMA, under the 20 SMA, under the 100, under the 50. It's lost all its SMAs. So any pops towards 40, 60s that kind of fail to follow through, I'll be interested in HIMS for a short trade. As long as it can stay heavy, we just got to be worried. Maybe we get this gap fill here to 29. Who knows? But that's something to definitely, you know, keep an eye on. Let's go to Quantum really quick. I know we're moving kind of fast here, but guys, this is all subject to how the market reacts, man. I'm not going to be rushing into anything. I'm not going to be, you know, shooting my shot, you know, it just straight out the gate on Monday and Tuesday. It's just not going to happen. Rigetti, same situation. We reclaimed the 100 daily SMA. Now, do we build off this 100 daily SMA for a little bit of a retracement back to the upside, or do we keep fading into this 200 daily moving average that is lurking? QBTS is going to be in the same situation, literally, because it's in the quantum field. So that is that. What else do we have? We have Tesla. Look at Tesla here. Tesla had a nice fail follow through setup. Now, does it start staying heavy under 420-ish area? You know, that's to be seen. We're now under the 50 daily moving average, under the 20 daily moving average, under the 10 daily moving average, and we kind of tapped into the 100 daily moving average. So we'll be looking at what Tesla has going for it coming this week as well. A lot of volatility coming into this name. Definitely closed out strong on Friday, so just be aware that is lurking. MSTR falling off the face of the earth with Bitcoin, obviously. So if you're going to trade MSTR, just be aware that you have to keep Bitcoin on watch as well. MSTR does like to show its hand as in being weak before Bitcoin likes to be weak. So just be aware of that situation, because MSTR can actually keep going down while Bitcoin does catch a bid. We'll put BTC right here. So this is where it's at. What you really want to see on Bitcoin, in my opinion, is it reclaim 100,000. If it does that, kind of see how MSTR wants to go ahead and react to that. Or does this actually start to stay heavy? Let's see if there's any weekly gaps here. Doesn't seem like there's any weekly gaps. So let's see if Bitcoin wants to end up trying to reclaim, and that could possibly give you guys an opportunity for a probable MSTR, maybe relief bounce, or at least a bit of a relief bounce in MSTR. What other name is there? I did do a video recently. What name did I trade? Trying to think about the name that I did trade. It was Oracle, right? Yes, it was Oracle. Oracle, same situation. Daily 200 moving average tap. Let's see if this thing starts to build and any dips that kind of soak off the daily 20 SMA. Does it soak up, and do we start getting a nice little little rip up maybe into the 250-ish area, maybe back into the daily 20 and daily 100 SMAs. I like longs here as long as it can stay above the daily 200 SMA. And remember, this is all just based off, are we going to be gapping up on futures, gapping down? How are we going to be moving in the futures market is going to be very important on, my game plan into Oracle. Like I said, again, broken record about it, 9:45, 10 a.m. trend joins is what I'm going to be looking at. There is no need to rush in this market. Opportunities are endless right now in this market. With increased volatility, you're going to get the chance to have an abundance of names to look at. I mean, we also have Circle that we can take looks at, right? This name's been falling off the face of the earth. Maybe we get it looks like we did get that gap fill on Circle. So maybe we get a little bit of a bid, right? Like, look, we have this gap fill from, I guess, is this his IPO? I'm assuming it's his IPO. Yeah, it is. So, just keep an eye on this name. It's now gap filled. Does this go sub 60s? Does it, who knows? But just keep an eye on that. Could be a very interesting opportunity there as well. So, which means that we also have to take a look at CoreWeave because they kind of move a little bit together, in my opinion. So, obviously lost all of its moving averages, lost this key area right here, which is very important. So, you can always kind of look at this area and see if we get some fail follow through, maybe some pops towards 85s to fail to follow through. If we start building over 85, you might want to check in with some long opportunities for maybe like, a push back into this gap fill, or whatever the case may be. And I want to go ahead and also state that none of this is financial advice. These are not buy and sell recommendations. I'm simply just going over some trading thoughts that I do have. What else do we have? We went over semiconductor. Oh, let's go over Google. Google was recently purchased here by Berkshire. He just did a 13F filing, and I think it went up like 1 point something percent after hours, or 2% after hours. So just be aware that Google does have, Warren Buffett's name attached to it now. Now, does this decide to end up ripping up and going higher? Based off of that news, who knows? All I know is that if history repeats itself, UNH kind of had that same opportunity, and it did kind of surge up after I think Warren Buffett bought on this day after hours, and it gapped up, and then it's made this kind of like sexy little move back up. So let's pay attention to that. Let's also actually just pay attention to UNH in general here. Like, UNH is coming right back into the ascending, right? This is now ascending daily 100 SMA. Kind of failed that 50 daily SMA and still can't get above that daily 200, but does have Warren Buffett behind it, does have a couple of people behind it as well. So pay attention to the healthcare sector. I think that's a really good sector to be paying attention to. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at some bank names. We got JP Morgan with some fail follow through, but it's coming in testing that 100 daily SMA. I'm going to be assuming Goldman Sachs is kind of in that same scenario. Yeah, right about the 20 daily SMA, 50 daily SMA. Some relative strength here. I know that it did have this nice little washout move, but everything kind of washed out. This is on Thursday. Everything kind of washed out on Thursday. Let's see what BAC is doing. Bank of America. Look at this. It's all kind of the same. So pay attention to these financial names. They're very, they're showing really good like relative strength versus market. So let's see how this ends up panning out. Do we start actually getting a rotate back down, or what happens? Just keep an eye, man, because when banks start to rotate down, usually it's a sign that maybe everything's gonna start kind of rotating a little bit down. So just pay attention to that. And like I said, I'm not really a small cap type of trader, so you guys probably will more than likely not hear me talk about anything small cap, mid cap esque, aside from like quantum names. But that is honestly what I'm looking forward to next week. Don't really have a clear, concise game plan. Just things that I am looking at, waiting to see how the futures market opens. Do we gap up, gap down? And then I want to go ahead and see how SPY is moving as well when it comes to the intraday, trading. I want to make sure I have my eye on SPY and the Qs, right? QQQ. Want to make sure I have my eyes on these, just so we can find out how the overall market sentiment is looking. No bias here. Do we gap up, gap down? No one knows. So it's all just prepare, no bias, and then follow a trend once 9:45, 10 a.m. does come in through. Like once 9:45 kind of shows its hand, 10 o'clock shows its hand, then you could go ahead and make that determining factor whether you want to go ahead and fade things versus VWAP, maybe fade things off of lower highs, fail follow through setups, or do you want to do a trend join over VWAP, higher lows, and then continue to go long. No one really knows yet. So these are just my plans. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will go ahead and talk to you guys next week on my plans. I do have a couple of other videos that I will be posting throughout this week as well, and one of them is in particular a kind of a mentor video discussing the importance of why you should have a mentor and, you know, things like that. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like. Hopefully you guys have a game plan. Do not rush, man. Please do not rush in this market. There is no need. There is a lot of opportunities. There is that NVIDIA news coming out, the earnings on Wednesday after the close. Take your time, please. There is no reason why you should be massive red on a Monday or massive red on a Tuesday. Take your time in this market. Endless opportunities. And that's all I have to say, man. Thank you guys for your time. Later.